Hello, welcome to PubShorts episode 34, Fear of DeepSeek. In reference to the famous Iron Maiden song, Fear of
Oh,
the Dark.
what a cracking song! One of my favourite bands, I made, and I'm going to see them later on this year again. I think for the eighth or ninth time since 1979
Well, let's
when
int-
I had hair. Okay,
that must have been a really long time ago. My name is Dr. KK. I am the innovation officer at Trinca and Enago, and I have with me Tony.
I'm
Tony,
Tony
hi.
O'Rourke. I'm Tony O'Rourke, a vice president for partnerships here at Enago, and I look after relationships with publishers and with our research clients. Um, I don't know if you know who Enago is. Enago.com is a specialist content services company. We provide editing and language services as well as translation services and AI tools. And here we are at PubShorts episode 34. Do you want to explain what PubShorts is?
Yes,
Okay.
PubShots is an episodic, stream or a podcast where we discuss everything related to publishing, AI, language technology, all sorts of news about research integrity, and anything related to publishing and academia, really. And so we stream live on LinkedIn and YouTube most of the time. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification icon. And if you like the content, we are talking about DeepSeek today. That's why we are referencing the song "Fear of the Dark" because fear of DeepSeek is there a couple of stories. If you like the content, please share it with your friends and colleagues and let them also. I mean, we would love for you to be a part of the conversation. If you have any thoughts on what we discuss, or if you would like us to discuss something that some other topic, please let us know. And you can reach out to us on social media or on LinkedIn, and we'll again communicate the email addresses if you want at the end of the episode. So, Tony, are you
So,
ready to get into
yeah.
the
So, what's the first story we're going to talk about today,
yeah,
KK?
so fear of DeepSeek because there are a couple of negative stories. Because 2 weeks ago we talked about DeepSeek coming out of China and sort of causing stock market crashes because of the way that it made things cheaper in the context of AI models. But there are some negative stories. So the first one is from The Verge. It is titled "OpenAI has evidence that its models help train China's DeepSeek." Now, it's an ironical story. So basically, the story states that the Microsoft security detected a data exfiltration linked to DeepSeek, and OpenAI believes DeepSeek used distillation, a technique to train smaller AI models. So, Tony, before this, were you familiar with distillation?
No, I'd never heard of the concept, but then again, I'm not an AI developer, so I'm sure this is a concept that AI people will know very well, but I
Yeah.
hadn't heard of it.
So it is basically if you're developing a model, if there is already a well built model, you can basically get the mature model's responses to train the, let's say, less mature model, and thus bypassing a lot of, in terms of cost, prohibitively costly training steps and everything. This is called distillation. We just talked about in the previous episode another sort of distilled model, I think. So this is going to be a new thing, and we'll talk about more things. But in this particular story, why this is interesting and ironical is because OpenAI's terms of service prohibit distilling its models. The problem with this is that OpenAI itself has used web data without consent for its models. Now, this highlights the tensions between the tech giants as well as IP conflicts. So, what are your concerns, Tony? If suppose I guess we are not aware of what distillation might or might not cause, but what do you think about potential use cases for DeepSeek in research in the context of distillation?
It hurts my brain to think of the implications of this, because what we're doing is we're scratching the surface here, and before we truly find out how these tools have been created and developed, whether content's been licensed or not licensed,
Hmm.
whether permissions have been sought or not, and there is an irony, as the author here, Jess Weatherhead, says, that DeepSeek has done what OpenAI arguably has been also doing.
Right.
So no, it's very, very interesting.
Right, and the other piece of negative news, which was brought to my attention through one of our colleagues, because we were considering, we were discussing whether we should start using DeepSeek as a model for some of our technology, and this is a story where its title, it's from TechCrunch. DeepSeek exposed internal database containing chat histories and sensitive data. So this database apparently, Tony, was accessible without a password, and the security firm called Wiz has confirmed discovered the exposure, and DeepSeek has taken prompt action to secure it. Now the duration of exposure is unknown, but the chat history and sensitive data were available. Now, my question to you, this is the second piece of negative information, and that's why, I mean, people are scared of models like DeepSeek, but at the same time, we are scared of security aspects and, other maybe potential, maybe the quality concerns regarding distillation and everything. So, what do you think? I mean, how, again, putting into the context of distillation and this potential security things, because our clients are very sensitive about, say, data security. And in terms of use of DeepSeek's models for research purposes, I mean, I guess publishing related technology. What are your thoughts? Would our publishers want us to not use it?
Well, there's no question. Every single conversation I had with publishers, the issue of security comes up. Is how is our content being used? How will our content be repurposed? What permissions do you have? What rights do you have to use our content? How can you protect our content from being repurposed elsewhere? Any risk, any hint of a lack of security or lack of control is a red flag as far as the publisher is concerned, and rightly so.
Right. And so hence we should all probably wait and watch. I mean, obviously you for experimental purposes, I think DeepSeek's models are okay, but in terms of using, I guess we'll still need to wait and watch and see
Well,
how.
how long do you wait and watch? There seems to be a new model coming out every week that seems to be disrupting the market. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think just keep experimenting.
Yes, and as Tony rightly mentioned, very thanks for the segue, because why are there new models coming out of everywhere every week, and especially in China, is because of the investment into AI that the Chinese government has initiated. So this news article from Nature titled "How China Created an AI Model DeepSeek and Shocked the World," it basically mentions government support, funding, and a skilled workforce as key factors. Now it the DeepSeek models R1 and I think Janus Pro 7B, they rival OpenAI's O1 and similar models. And it mentions Chinese universities focused very much on AI related education. And there are more than 440 universities that offer AI degrees, Tony, which is startling. And AI talent development is a national.
There are over 5,000 institutions of higher education in China, so maybe it's not that startling.
Yeah,
But
but
yes,
still catching up so fast. I mean, that's about
absolutely.
10%. Yeah, AI talent development is a national priority, and young entrepreneurs seek such initiatives. So, I also happen to. I mean, this is an important week in the context of Indian economy as well, because the budget was announced, and there were news stories on India also making moves to have its own. I guess OpenAI ChatGPT competitor within about by the time this year ends, as well as there's a talk about an AI based university in the state of Maharashtra, which is where I'm based out of. So, in general, Tony, I mean, we have covered three stories, varying sort of, let's say, negativity about DeepSeek. What are your thoughts on these sort of like the move towards being AI leaders from Asia, China, India, etc., in the context of
Well,
most of our companies being US based?
if the Chinese government says, we want to be world leaders in AI by 2030, you can be fairly certain that they can put the resource and effort behind it to make sure that happens. Look what happened in the academic publishing world. They said, whatever, 10, 15 years ago, they wanted to be the number one producer of scientific output for world research, and they are by a long chalk now.
Mm-hmm.
That So I think if the Chinese government gets behind this, then it's going to happen.
Right. Moving on to the next story, it is a New York Times article about the operator, which is we have two stories regarding the operator, which was announced, I think, in response to DeepSeek's the story itself. This is the negative one. So it's titled "How Helpful Is Operator, OpenAI's New AI Agent." And now, the person who tested it mentions that operator can handle tasks like ordering items or online, like ordering pizzas, etc., or booking appointments. This one is a research preview, Tony, which a person like me, I have a ChatGPT Pro account. I do not have access to, but it is only available right now for the $200 per month ChatGPT Premium Pro user, sorry, and it demonstrates the potential for AI agents, but shows brittleness and errors. It cannot do more than this. And so one of the things that has been brought up is that it cannot handle captchas or enter sensitive information. So eventually, we have the vision of AI agents, and things like the operator getting us to do things much more than we have to do it. But what are your concerns? Again, from the context of research, everything we have to sort of bring it back to research. Would researchers, or let's say our own authors, would be wanting agents like this to do their research work?
Oh, without question, and I'm sure there are tools that are being used already that
Hmm.
are supporting researchers to do this kind of, a tool that will then make the life of the researcher so much easier.
Right. So, again, in the context of agents, we are going back to one useful thing, Ethan Mollick's blog, and it's a very interesting title. It caught my attention, and the concept is fascinating. It is titled "End of Search, Beginning of Research." So, this post focuses on AI reasoning agents, AI reasoners like O1, for example, OpenAI's, or DeepSeek's R1, or agentic workflows and agents. So if to remind everybody, the reasoners think before responding, and they in fact show the thought process. And I can even show you this in the next story. And the operator, we just talked about it, it's a new development. And OpenAI's deep research shows that AI has a potential in creating such dedicated research. But it's called a narrow spectrum, narrow research type of tool, which is exactly what is meant, or what is the best for our research use cases, especially for our authors and clients. So this is a very interesting conversation, that we are moving from search to research using these narrow research agents like deep research. So I'll ask for your thoughts first before I move to the ChatGPT story itself.
I, I tried to draw an analogy. I was trying to think about this earlier on about the analogy with research itself. You know, in the same way that you wouldn't ask um, an expert in, say, philosophy to talk about a concept in physics, you wouldn't necessarily ask a broad-based AI LLM
Mm-hmm.
to talk about something that it's not trained to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to see more and more of these narrow agents being put in place that are able to reason because they're being fed a much more expert data and being trained a much more expert in content.
Right. So as I mentioned, so this is a video. You can, I think I'll take it back to the first. So this is the operator. This is a video from OpenAI. So this is the actual prompt compiling a research, and the agent or deep research asks the question, as in, what do you want? Ask the human what the search should be limited to, and the human provides an answer, and then it starts thinking. It says that it'll do this, and I think it starts thinking, and this is the thing that it's not available for me. And I think the thought process is also shown. I think it'll come up in the next screen. This is what it's doing. It is sort of having a conversation with itself. It's saying that I'm gathering data, and it has searched things like that. And eventually, you'll get this very rounded answer with a lot of the process or the steps that were taken to this. And it can also query other databases and websites. As you can see, this is a fascinating thing. I wish I had access to this, because this level of deep research is not available with the publicly available models which are available to me right now. So,
Yeah,
are you swayed after seeing this little video?
I thought that was very powerful. I mean, how it sort of built those reports, how it was able to
Mm.
demonstrate the resources it was using, the sources it was using to create that report. Now, very powerful.
Right. Now, I'm moving on to a very interesting survey results published in Nature News. It is titled "How Are Researchers Using AI?" The survey results reveal pros and cons for science. So, let me just
This is one of the most interesting papers I've read in a long time. Really, really interesting how quickly it's being adopted.
Yeah, so this is a survey conducted by, I think, Nature. To its readership, 500 researchers were asked
Five
from,
thousand.
oh, sorry, 5,000, yes, 5,000 researchers from more than 70 countries by the publishing company Wiley. Sorry. So it was a Wiley-based research, and the results of the survey are, to at least to a certain extent, shocking, and we'll get to that. Many of the respondents believe that AI can outperform humans in tasks like reviewing papers and checking plagiarism. and AI tools like ChatGPT are becoming more and more popular. So the respondents, researchers see AI as key for future scientific work, especially for early career professionals. Now there are concerns that remain. Now half of the respondents believe AI outperforms humans in certain tasks. So I think I will shift to that table. So this is the startling table for me, Tony. So this is a use case. It's summarized as manuscript preparations for things like detecting errors and biases in own writing, checking unintended plagiarism. In this manuscript preparation use case, 62% of respondents believe that AI does a better job. And this also is a case for handling information and sharing findings. Sharing findings would also mean plain language summaries, etc., etc. So those kind of things. So I was startled because I was under the belief that AI cannot do a lot of these things. At least I personally haven't had enough evidence to suggest that I think that AIs are doing it better than humans. What are your thoughts?
Well, only that this demonstrates that these tools are getting better and better. If you think of our own experience with AIs, we have AIs to do things like language editing. We have AIs or to support language editing. We have tools that can identify the level of editing that's required.
Right.
We've processed something like 1 billion words for grammar correction since we started. We've processed something like 7 million files, and the files that are processed and improved today are so much better than the ones that were there 3-5 years ago. And in a year or 5 years time, it was so much better again. So it doesn't surprise me at all
Right.
that there's increasing confidence, and you see that. I mean,
Right.
we're talking to publishers now who are seeing content that requires maybe less of the kind of in-depth language support than in the past because authors are using these tools.
Right, and humans have narrowly won a victory, like 1% over AI, 51 to 49, for increasing impact, and some more like wider margins for enhancing research methods and enhancing collaboration. So all the deeper tasks and even peer review, at least the respondents state that.
Sorry, I'm sorry to stop you, Kate. The increasing impact thing is interesting because what it's saying is the AI itself isn't better at creating the impact. What it is better at is creating tools which will help the human to create the impact. So things like creating multimedia tools, creating video abstracts or explainers.
Right.
That can do more quickly.
Yeah. So that's that sort of. I would say AI assisted human workflows are not clearly mentioned. I think it would be a straightforward question. I haven't taken the survey myself. So it would be whether they, let's say if you were asked the question, it will be like for manuscript preparation, who do you think between human AI? You have to choose only one. And so that is the answer here. It does not quite mention the AI assisted human workflow. So that's an interesting point. But Tony, there are a couple of other things that are also very interesting. So the question is how long do you think that the respondents would think it'll be before the following generative AI users and tools are commonly accepted and approved of by a majority of researchers in your field? So it is again related to researchers, not maybe institutions and publishers. And again, I'll have to take the reds and the orange together. So combined, they believe that within 2 to 3 years, maybe until for by 3 years from now, AI would be accepted, is what it's saying. So this is for writing up documentation, adapting review feedback, and all of it. So the least amount of such votes are for advanced simulations that reduce the need for some bench research and optimizing experimental design. These are the more complex research tasks which need human thought. But again,
what do you think that there's a one there, Keke, that says that 86% of researchers asked thought that peer reviewer recommendation tools based on article comparisons will be adopted within the next 2 to 3 years. Do you agree with that?
I think peer reviewer recommendations are a very good place for AI because it goes beyond the clear cut use of generative AI, because it can also use old fashioned AI to get the best reviewers for a particular document. So I believe in that, but I guess this is only for generative AI. So I'm not sure of generative AI in this context. If suppose that was your question, Tony.
It was.
Yeah, and the uses of AI. This is another thing. So the question is, which, if any, of these represent use cases or solutions that are familiar sorry, that are similar to anything you are already doing or have already tried. So this is, I think, similar to the table that we looked at. And in this case, writing assistance and detecting error and bias in own writing is the one that won, as opposed to, for example, automated processing of unstructured data, which I believe that AI is very good at already. But I suppose it's not completely accurate. That's what I think this is. So altogether, this is such a fascinating. I think we have already covered previous survey results in previous episodes of the PubShorts, and so we are fast moving into a world where generative AI, things like ChatGPT, are acceptable parts of a research workflow. Tony, so I
I
don't
think
know.
they all part of the world.
Yeah, very interesting, and keeping in tune with AI for automating research workflows, we have another sort of, it's a very nice article from China. It's titled, it's a preprint in archive titled "Large Language Models for Automated Scholarly Peer Review," a survey, again a survey finding. So let me pick my notes. Hold on. Yeah, so this is a paper that explores automated scholarly paper review. So that I want to take a moment to state that this term itself is interesting in the sense that it is not stating peer review. Automated peer review could have been the term used. So what they are probably trying to differentiate is that AI cannot be considered peers in the context of peer review. So hence we have to have another term. So your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on this? Do you agree with this?
No, I just think what this is demonstrating is again the increasingly creative ways that these AI tools are going to be used in the content creation process, and how you have another possible option, another possible means for a researcher to, oh gosh, the sun's coming on my face, um, for the researcher to use. Yeah, no, I think it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, and this is a very nice paper to read, like the previous one, but it's a dense preprint. So it looks at the different LLMs that are being used for peer review and addresses some of the technical challenges solved by LLMs. There are new methods being discussed, and also examines the publishers and academia's reactions to automated scholarly paper review, or ASPR. So let me switch to the actual paper itself, the HTML version. So I would want to actually start with this infographic. These are the different, again, so remember it's a survey, so these are responses, and I was quite fascinated by the variety of large language models being mentioned in this. So honestly, I hadn't even heard of models like Vicuna, Stable LM, and Baichuan 2, etc. Maybe these are China based models, but look at the spread, and ChatGPT and GPT-4 leads the way. So, are you surprised at the spread, Tony?
Um, I'm I'm surprised at how many different models there are.
Yeah.
Just if we did the same survey in 6 months or a year's time, how many more models will there be?
I, well, one of our colleagues keeps on mentioning that we do not know what's going to happen the next week or the next month regarding products, and so the some of the technological advancements. I'll scroll the paper as well. So the reasons that they discuss that AI or LLMs are more relevant in the context of peer review is because of the larger context windows and long text modeling. They don't have limitation as to how much data that they can input, and they are also talking about multimodal input. There's a typo here, Tony, so that's why it's multi-module and multi-round conversation, which is basically multiple, let's say, peer reviewers. In the last episodes we talked about a meta review after AI reviewers with personas evaluated. So this is that multi-round conversation. All of this would improve. And finally, instance knowledge acquisition. I think it's again a typo. It should be instant knowledge acquisition.
So is the multi-round another way of saying round tables or
Yes.
a multi-agents?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is. It is another. So roundtable is what we generally use when we are using multiple either versions of the, I mean, sorry, copies of the same model or different language models to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
cross-check each other's things. And the final thing, this is again, this is related to, I think this is partially novelty related, because as Tony, you are aware, these large language models have a limited training data set. So suppose we are using large language models for peer review, it will not know everything that has happened beyond its training data set. So when there is a requirement, we can now route the query outside of its training data into the the wider knowledge base. So this is that. So these are the reasons why we have advanced so far. And there are also techniques like prompt engineering and supervised fine tuning and the multi-instance framework. This is the agentic workflow that they are talking about. And finally, Tony, there are a lot of data sets available. This is again fascinating from my point of view. There is so much data available for us to know with reviewed data. In the sense, a human reviewer data is also available for us to train language models and improve these models for doing peer review in the future. I was fascinated. This is a fascinating. If somebody is interested in looking at large language models for peer review, they should go through this and sort of this could be the base document on the basis of which they can build their own product. So your thoughts after seeing all of this, Tony?
I'm speechless.
Which
It
is
doesn't often happen. It doesn't often happen. But the fact there's so much has happened in the last 3 months alone.
yeah.
It's really is incredible.
And there are tools as well, some of which we have covered, I think, in our own in some of the previous episodes of PubShorts. But please, if again, I think I got this through the Scalene blog. Thank you for the people who maintain this blog, and it has been a wonderful resource for me to learn about AI and peer review. So now, Tony, we have covered all the main stories. Are you ready for our quick hits?
Go for it.
All right. The first story is, well, using the deep research. We just covered deep research. Using deep research to find out which of the jobs that AI will replace. So this is a very interesting thing. So some of the jobs that are likely to be replaced faster would be a tax preparer. It has a 98% near certain automation. And other jobs include data entry clerks, telemarketers, and bookkeepers. So these are the jobs that are likely to be replaced. Now, this is
I had an interesting experience at the weekend, which was what was obviously an AI telemarketer. It's improved so much, but it didn't take me long to identify that it was an AI telemarketer that was contacting me in terms of how lack of response, how unresponsive it was.
Yeah, I mean, back when I did medicine, one of the reasons why, well, my father and mother defended me doing medicine was the fact that it's very less likely to be outdated by technological innovation. So the irony is that diagnosticians are likely to be replaced by AI because AI is so much better in pulling all the information. But you cannot completely replace it, but at least a lot of the responsibility of diagnosis can be replaced by AI. But maybe the surgical procedure, robotics may not be able to sort of do all of it. So I don't know. Maybe my career sort of sabbatical.
I think your medical background is relatively safe for the moment. I wouldn't want an accountant or a telemarketer.
Yes. And now this is the another distillation related story, but this is jaw dropping. So this is from TechCrunch. Researchers created an open rival to OpenAI's O1 reasoning model for $50. This is incredible, Tony. They used distillation. They used what is it? The Google Gemini 2 model for distillation. Wait, let me pull up the name of the model. It'll be here. Yeah, Gemini 2.0 flash thinking experimental model was used, and the entire cost of whatever they did was just $50. And they have used some 16. Where is it? Yeah, after training this S1, which took less than 30 minutes using 16 NVIDIA H100 GPUs, S1 achieved strong performance on certain AI benchmarks. Now, last 2 weeks ago, we talked about DeepSeek destroying many companies, in terms of stock prices. What do you think about this?
I think it's a little bit misleading, actually. Yes, it might cost $50 to make it available for the user. It costs them significantly more than that. If they're going to, even 16 NVIDIA chips is going to cost them in the hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars.
No, I think
develop.
they use.
So it's still not every day.
So I think the reason why they're saying this is cloud compute credits. That's how they're saying AI reasoning model for under this much. So these, I mean, they use servers, cloud resources. So that's what they're saying. So anyway, I'm
They're basically saying they were able to create a perfectly functioning LLM using cloud compute credits for $50. Wow.
well. Let's
When is
see.
it?
Maybe TechCrunch was wrong, but anyway, I mean, if this is the truth, then people are going to create more and more distill models. That
Well,
means that
absolutely. Yeah.
now the good part is that if
It, it,
suppose
it kind of comes back to the conversation we had in a previous episode. I can't remember what it was. In terms of who's managing the rights for this. What kind of permissions have they got? Whose content have they used to create these LLMs?
well,
And
in this
and how
case,
they monetize.
so that's the thing. Distillation sort of takes away a lot of these responsibilities because in this case, Gemini was trained on whatever data that Google has, right? So it has
Yeah.
only used Gemini's responses to train itself. So technically, it has not, as in the S1 models trainers do not have any problems in terms of IP, I guess. Apart from the fact that obviously
Yes.
distillation,
Yes.
yeah.
Until that's actually tested in court.
All right, the final story, which will probably affect everybody on the planet, at least most people on the planet. Amazon is scheduling the launch of its Alexa plus AI launch on 26th of February, and it's basically the AI powered version of Alexa chatbot. I hope I have not triggered mine, and it's already triggered. I mean, sorry, it's already delayed by I think 8 months or something. They were supposed to come out with it last June, so they waited for it because they probably are improving the performance. But Tony, are you going to buy one of these? Because you will have to pay a subscription, a monthly amount to.
I will. I will almost certainly buy one of these. I think I've got 4 Alexa devices scattered around the house at the moment. One of them is so out of date I can't connect it to a network anymore. So yes, I think it's almost guaranteed I'll buy one of these.
Yeah, so this is going to be. I think it's going to change my life because I'm already finding myself, as I've told you, Tony, in PubShorts, that it is so much more interesting to talk to a more advanced, like a Gemini or a ChatGPT, and have intellectual conversations, philosophical conversation with some of these things. And if there is an ALEXA device right next to me, I will probably ask things about music and everything, and have long conversations. Sipping a glass of wine or something. I don't know.
It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder the future of AI human relationships.
Mm.
You know, when you get so close to their Alexa device, they propose marriage or something.
Yeah.
It will happen.
Yeah. And that brings us to the end of our episode 34, Fear of DeepSeek. The reference is the song by Iron Maiden. But Tony, any interesting developments in the context of music in your life lately?
I suppose the only interesting thing it's not for a while yet, but I've just booked to go on an acoustic guitar boot camp in the summer this year at a retreat in the west of England. So I'm looking forward to that.
Wonderful.
To hone my rather fundamental rudimentary guitar skills into something a bit more. I hope.
Who is your favorite acoustic guitar player to learn from?
Oh, to learn from the aspiring the aspiring guitarist is the late Michael Hedges. And if you've not heard of Michael Hedges,
I
he
don't think so.
died in 1997. He wrote the most beautiful acoustic guitar music. Everything was about not playing the guitar in non-standard ways,
Mm-hmm.
using the guitar as a percussive instrument, using the guitar as a stringed or a multi-harmony instrument. He was an incredible player. He invented this principle called, I think it was called acoustic thrash,
Mm-hmm.
which is if you ever watch Michael Hedges playing the guitar, you think, why did I start playing the guitar? You're never going to get close.
Well, we all have our inspirations, and to
Who
if you had, I mean, if somebody is watching us for the first time, if they want to know your inspirations or your what you do in publishing, or what Enago and Trinka are, or where PubShots is, where can they find all of this?
Well, if you want to find out more about PubShots, you can, as KK said at the beginning of this episode, you can see us on on our YouTube channel. We can stream and download all the episodes. This is episode 34, so there are 33 previous episodes to go and download. If you need to contact KK or me directly, you can get us on LinkedIn, or you can contact me directly at tonio@enago.com.
Yes, and please let us know if there is something that you would like us to cover, and
Absolutely.
we would do our best to cover it. And until then,
Thank you for all the suggestions we've received so far.
yes, yes, thank you very much for that. And until the next episode, this is on behalf of everyone, including Tony. This is Dr. KK signing off for PubShorts. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, Tony.
Bye, KK.